All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Happy Tuesday. How we doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tuesday morning. And another interesting an interesting look, an interesting overnight. With a lot of data. So it should be a day. Let's see. Morning, morning. Welcome back. Happy Tuesday. Alrighty. Is the live stream on members only? Huh. Looks public to me. All right. Welcome back, guys. Happy Tuesday. So today we got some economic data. Hopefully gives us some action on this market. Yesterday, great thesis, great idea from the live stream. I mean, really good stuff. Perfect fade of the Friday lows. I mean, just perfect. I'm sorry, not the Friday lows. The Thursday lows, absolutely dead on. But it just happened right out of the gates, which is what got me. I didn't catch it. You know, sometimes a setup's so good that it warrants a, you know, off the gates, out of the gates, you know, attempt. But man, yesterday, pretty much right off the open, just got that smackdown right at our Thursday low, right at our 25,670 NASDAQ. So what a level, what a game plan. Cautious of that, you know, break and retest rejection of that Thursday low, and bam, what an opportunity. So GG's to those that caught that, man. If you guys caught that yesterday, well done. Hopefully the levels gave you some confidence in that idea, because that really was such a sick trade. Pre-market upside, you know, sort of moving higher, gapping up into that Thursday low, and then immediate smackdown to fill the gap up. So really nice there. After that opportunity yesterday, sort of just got sideways, really. I mean, there was no really opportunistic recovery or continuation. It was really just that first hour of straight down, and then the rest of the day chopped around and did nothing. So tough there, but awesome read, and hopefully we can find another one of those reads, and hopefully it can wait for us a little bit before happening out of the gates. But really nice there yesterday. Very, very clean. So if you caught that, well done. Today, some economic data to definitely be looking out for. So today we have a pretty packed schedule. 8:30 today, average hourly earnings, retail sales, non-farm employment, and then that's core and normal retail sales, and the unemployment rate. So some big data there today at 9:30, and then also some more data at 9:45, manufacturing and services PMI. So we'll be on the lookout for that as well. Definitely some data to sprinkle in today. Hopefully add some volatility to this market. Thursday, CPI, that's a big one. So we will see what happens on Thursday as well. Okay, once again, guys, Friday. Actually, I think I will. Yeah, I'll be here Friday. Friday, I'll be here. Friday, later day, I'll be traveling. But Friday, I will be here for the live stream, so we're good there. CPI Thursday, and then all this data today. Let's see what happens after that. Hopefully that clears some things up for us. Okay? All right, so let's jump right in. Press that like button, subscribe to the channel, get us to 1,000 likes today. Here we go. So yesterday, like I said, we were focused on that Friday rejection level, that Thursday low, and pretty much right out of the gates yesterday, we see a immediate and very strong smackdown rejection at our key level and a downtrend pretty much through the entire day. Now, yesterday, our key demand level was 25,285, and that was the exact low of day. So 25,285 was our Monday high, and that again was our exact low of day. So levels were awesome, and as long as we're getting the levels right, I know and I'm confident that we're going to continue to find good setups, and it's only a matter of time between or before we get some serious trading going. So as long as the levels are good, I'm happy. So levels were great yesterday. We had our 25,670 supply. We had our 25,285 demand, and that pretty much was the entire day, from supply to demand, and then chop above that demand. In the overnight session, and here was yesterday's game plan. So yesterday's game plan was 25,654, which is pretty much our 25,671. We adjusted that slightly before the open. And then the downside demand that we had was 25,286. And you can see the low of day was 25,286. So that was really good. Very happy about that. Let's see if we can be accurate again there. Today, I am watching this previous day low very closely. I think this is very important on the NASDAQ futures. the 25,285 and the previous day low, I think will be definitely an important spot to watch. I would be careful into that previous day low. Would want to be very focused on what the price action is showing me there at previous day low. Now that we have pushed back higher, right? You can see right here, and we're sort of holding back above it. 25.3, I will double check on that, but previous day close is 25,348.75. That is the previous close of yesterday's candle on the NASDAQ futures, 25,348. Okay, all right. So right here, you guys can see we have a previous day low right here at 25,285. We have the breakdown of that level in the overnight session, and then we just sort of sit around here in the overnight session, eventually reclaiming, for now, we'll see what data does, reclaiming the previous day low. So I think that's going to be very important. Now, where else do I think is very important? I think that the Friday low is even more important today and really could be a rejection play to be watching out for. Now, here's the problem here's what makes this a little bit difficult today. You have to be very careful, in my opinion, today, shorting Friday's lows into the previous day's lows. So that's a little bit tough. This area, I think, gets a little bit tough between the previous day lows and Friday's lows, right? This little area between 285 and 378. I think that is a little bit of a tough trading area. So anywhere between here. But if you can see a failure at Friday's lows, a nice smackdown failure that then fails below previous day lows, right? Something like this, then I really like that short opportunity for downside today, possibly down towards our 25,000 demand. So that is what I would be watching, right? So Friday lows, 25,378. Previous day lows, 25,285. And I would be very cautious between those two areas. That is probably a very difficult area to trade today. If we get a smackdown of Friday lows and a failure back under previous day lows, I think that's your short entry. So that's something I'm definitely looking for today. I would love to get that play. Now, on the flip side, if the market holds on this data, holds previous day lows, and reclaims Friday lows, something along the lines of this, then I think you are looking at a potential sort of pushback higher on this market, possibly back to the daily 20, the daily 50, and maybe even possibly back to that 25,650 area. So both situations are valid. We just have to see which one is going to be the, what's the price action showing. Right now, we're definitely in a short-term bearish move. That is for sure, right? We're seeing this short-term bearish momentum come in over the last 3 days. And it would make quite a bit of sense to see these Friday lows turn into a rejection point. That would be some pretty clean stuff. So I would definitely be watching to see what happens there, right? Right here and right around here. Definitely watching to see what happens in there today. If we get some clean rejections in that zone, then I would be looking for maybe that little bear flag downside continuation trade. Okay? So that's what I'll be watching today. For now, we can see we're sort of fading, basically back under previous day lows, right? Fading back under that previous day low and trading back into the 25,254, which is these highs from back here. We have that 25,285, which is this high. We have some, I actually want to bring that down a little. Yeah, it's that Monday high. Okay, here it is. So right here, let me show you where that 254 comes from. It's right here. So this high right here from that Monday, 25,254, is right there. That's the high that I'd be watching. So if you break back below that high after failing previous day lows, and back under previous day lows here, Friday's lows, and these highs, if you start failing all those levels today and you're seeing something like this, then I assume downside continuation, target 25,000. Okay? I'd say the only way that this gets some kind of bullish momentum, the only way the NASDAQ gets any type of bullish momentum is a reclaim of Friday's lows. I think that's the only way. If you don't get that, you don't get bullish momentum. If you don't get a reclaim of this Friday low at 25,378, I don't think you're going to see any type of upside continuation, and I would be very careful of looking for it. So that is what I would be watching today. S&P 500, you can see here, we pulled back to the daily 20, daily 50 in the overnight session, and we held strong. So if we go to the daily chart, remember, this is our daily zone. If you guys remember our big picture analysis, these daily highs from right here, and these daily highs right here, and these daily highs right here, 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 and here, that is all between 68.45 to 68.68. And we can see here in the overnight session that that is where it held. And so this is very interesting, right? I mean, it's a very interesting area to be. I mean, for me, it's a very difficult area to short into. That's for sure. All right, because I know that we are sitting in some major daily previous highs in here. And to me, this is going to be a very difficult area to short into. Now, not only is it that daily demand, it is also the daily 20 and daily 50, right? And it is also some Monday lows and Friday lows, right? So that's going to be a very difficult area in my book to short into today. I mean, I really don't know if I would even, if we go lower through this zone and just sort of sit here, I probably would not trade today. I mean, I think I'm going to tell myself that, because that is way too susceptible in my mind to some kind of a really big FU upside candle, right? I just, there's no situation where I can start shorting into this daily 20, daily 50 on the ES. That is going to be very difficult for me to build confidence. Now, whether that works or not, that's not what I'm saying, right? What I'm saying here is, yes, that might be the right trade, and yes, you might just sort of flush through all this, and it may look back and say, wow, what an easy short that was, but I'm just not going to be able to personally find the confidence to take a position shorting through this demand zone. It's just, that would be really difficult for me. So we'll see, right? That trade doesn't interest me there on the ES really at all. You are above yesterday's lows. You are above Friday's lows right now in the pre-market. Right, so you have reclaimed previous day lows and Friday's lows after, right? This adds to the context, right? The context here, for me, the context that you have to add to this analysis is we reclaim these lows after having an aggressive drop in the overnight session and it looking like it was going to continue lower, right? Like right here, this looks like we're about to have a 4%, 3% overnight session, and we're going to wake up to some, some really, really ugly stuff. All right, so right around, midnight last night, 11 o'clock, I went to bed, and I was like, oh boy, this is looking like we're probably going to get that drop towards 6,800. And I was sort of thinking, okay, we're finally getting our 674 pullback, right? Remember we were talking about that 674. I was like, all right, here we go, right? We're going to get it. And then around 2 o'clock last night, you just sort of get this upside reclaim of all of that action. So that's the context that I think you have to put in here. This looked like it was about to die off last night, and then that demand just absolutely saves it for now. We'll see what happens today. But so that's interesting, right? I would be careful at previous day lows. I'd be careful at Friday's lows. Just be aware of that potentially holding. I would be careful shorting into previous lows. That's typically not a great play. Right now on the S&P, on the ES futures, I have previous day close at the close of this candle, which is the close of yesterday's daily candle. That's at 68.8150. So that's where I have it, 68.8150. And we can see that that's pretty much where you're rejecting this morning. So you basically just came back up to the close of yesterday in the overnight session here. Close, gap down or after hours, and right back up to where we closed. So you're basically starting the day neutral to yesterday's close where you're currently sitting. And you can see right there on that little pullback, you are holding our 68.6875. And what is 68.6875? 68.6875 is the exact high of this daily high right here. So if you look up right here, 68.75 is the exact high of this daily candle. And so that continues to be such an interesting spot on this market. I doubt it's going to be a perfect level today, but you can see all throughout the week it's been generally right around this daily high. So man, we are in such an interesting spot on the market. It really warrants both theses, right? You really can't disregard the pullback long, but you also can't disregard the short-term downtrend that looks like it's getting pretty weak, right? So sort of somewhere to be a little bit careful on the next move, but I'm still going to look for this area to hold strong until it breaks down. I'm still going to be looking for that daily 20, daily 50 to be a spot of potential demand. If we get over the previous day close, then I think you can trade up into your 6,900 again. If you get above that, I think you can trade up into your 6,930 again. But what a perfect rejection of 6,930. We had that game plan on yesterday. That was the rejection from Friday right in here, and you can see right in there. So really nice there. So let's see what happens today. I would say the most important levels of the day for me are yesterday's lows and Friday's lows. I think those are very important to watch. 68.64 to 68.61. I think those are very important levels to watch today. SPY. So SPY previous day close is 680.73. So if you go here, you can see the close of yesterday's candle, 680.73. And that is pretty much exactly where you are rejecting in the pre-market today. So look at that. 680.73 exact rejection from the pre-market today. So you are basically just rejecting at previous day's close. So you basically made back the gap down. You gapped down, you consolidated, you came back and filled the gap, in the pre-market at least. Downside demand came into where? And we are coming down into major demand on this SPY still. We are still above the October highs, September, October highs. We are still above them. And I think that is important. So where did you trade down to in the overnight session? You tapped the daily 20 at 676.34. You tapped this 4-hour high right here. And you are close, but not yet hitting that 674 area right in here. Right? So you still have these daily highs at 674 to 673 area. For now, you can see that you came back down, tapped that 4-hour high, and popped right off the daily 20. So you are still absolutely moving lower into demand levels on the SPY. You are not breaking down these major demand levels yet. These are still very much intact. You are still above 674, and you're still above the daily 20, daily 50. And you can see that 4-hour high at 676.34 is the exact low that came in last night. So that's very intriguing. What else is intriguing? Yesterday's lows were the same as Friday's lows. Pretty much the exact same level. 679.25, 679.17. So about 8 points off. Yesterday was 8 points higher, 8 cents higher, 8 cents higher than the Friday low. And that's where you saw that little reaction to the upside. And that's actually where I longed the SPY off of and was up 20% here, but ultimately went back to break even. So it was a really nice trade, actually. I'm very happy about my, price action, reading price action there and getting that 20% profit. But I was looking for more, and that was my mistake yesterday. So previous day low, I think, is going to be a very important level to watch today. The 679.17 to 679.25. Pretty much right here and right here and right here. I think that is a massively important level today. Do you hold above the Friday and Monday lows, or do you fail back below them? If you fail back below yesterday's lows and Friday's lows, then I would say the bearish momentum creeps back in, and we trade back down to the 676. We possibly trade to the 674, right, on another downside move. I think you need to reclaim the previous day close here. If you get that after holding previous day low, something along the lines of this, then I think you will trade back to your 683 or your 686. But that is all dependent on what happens in my book at 679 previous day lows. What happens if we tag those lows? Do we sweep them, reclaim them, and go higher? do we break them, reject them, and go lower? I think that is massively, massively important today. Okay. QQQ, you are trading up into the Friday lows. Let's also just take a second and look at the absolute perfection of the break and retest rejection of Thursday low a day. Right there, we rejected it on Friday, and we had this exact zone yesterday heading into yesterday. This is, again, just a perfect retest rejection of these lows. Beautiful. Now, why do I bring that up again? Because, well, look what you're doing today, and, well, that could very well happen again, because the QQQ is definitely weaker than the ES right now. So where are we looking here on the QQQ? Well, you have Friday lows right here, and that is the exact spot that you are starting to see some potential rejections here at 611.36. Now, the data is definitely going to be something to watch here. If the data does not get back above that Friday low a day, I would say that leaves the door open to that being a potential failure point today at Friday low a day. I would absolutely be watching this spot on the QQQ. That is a very big spot. Now, what else is here? Well, we have previous day close, which is also a potential failure spot, so all in there. We also have the previous day lows right here at 609.32. So a little bit careful at the 609.32, us reclaiming previous day lows. But I really don't love that long because, well, you would be long right back into Friday's lows. So for me, you need to clear out this zone, man. It's just too much shit going around here. I need to see a clear reclaim of Friday's lows, and then maybe, really for me, a clear reclaim of 613 for me on the Qs before I would look for any kind of long today on the QQQ. I need to see us get back over that daily 20, daily 50. If we get a reclaim of that, then I think you definitely see a nice trade into 617, 618. I mean, that's a type of trade that I'm taking lights out all day. I don't care if I lose, right? If we reclaim yesterday's lows, reclaim Friday's lows, and reclaim the daily 20, I am long for a target of 617. And if I lose, I don't care. And that's pretty much what happened to me yesterday. Like, we had a perfect reclaim of this high, and right here of the daily 20, daily 50, I was long, and we got this. And that's not something I can control, right? That's a beautiful look, a reclaim of these highs, a reclaim of the daily 20, daily 50. And to me, that's a beautiful A-plus look all day, every day. A-pluses don't always work, though, but that's A-plus. So if I get that today, I'm looking for it again, and that's A-plus to me. Reclaiming a daily 20, daily 50, after reclaiming a Friday low and reclaiming this moving average supply. If you got that, I would absolutely look for that long into 617, 618. That's an all-day lights-out trade for me. No questions asked. And I will not take any advice from the peanut gallery on that one, right? That's just my trade. So if we get it and I lose, I lose, right? And I move on. So that's something I definitely would be watching today. PDL, watch that PDL. Clear demand 606 down below. We need to clear out this little shit show over here, right? This is really what we need to clear out, all in here. This is the unknown for me today, right in here. Here's your unknown. Between previous day low, previous day close, Friday's lows, and the daily 20, daily 50. That's all my unknown zone, right in there. If we clear above here, I like longs. If we reject in here and move lower, I don't mind the short off the rejection of this area. That's also something you could definitely watch. Okay. All right. We got data in 4 minutes. Let's go to the SMH. So the SMH did pull back to our very important demand zone that we have been looking for. So right here, the demand zone on the SMH is 347, 351. We've talked about these highs, these highs, these highs, these highs, these highs, and these highs. I mean, that's 6 major highs on the SMH. And you can see that we are right in that zone. So that is a very interesting zone here for the SMH, 347, 351. That's also the daily 20, daily 50. So you have 6 major 4-hour highs here. More 4-hour highs. I'm just going to go RH for hour highs. That's 6 4-hour highs in this zone, and that's the 20 and 50 daily moving average. So, I mean, I got to expect the SMH to put up a fight here. And you can see there is a fight, taking place by the bulls in this zone this morning at least. So I would be watching that area on the SMH today. I think that's very interesting. And it really does bring me to whether or not this Broadcom pullback is an opportunistic. And I truly believe it is. 20% down in 3 days on Broadcom with the SMH at that demand starts to get me a little bit interested. Let's go to the IWM. IWM gave you a nice pullback yesterday. You're back at the 250 demand. Between 250 248 area is, in my opinion, a pretty nice area of potential demand right in here. You're back at these triple bottom lows, quadruple bottom lows. If you can reclaim previous day lows, then I think you can see that move back up towards that 253 254 area. But really nice head and shoulder. I mean, this is like textbook. You open up the trading textbook, and you see what an inverse head or a head and shoulder looks like, and there you go. I mean, if you ever wanted to learn what a head and shoulder is, go to the 1 hour chart on the IWM, because there you go, my friends. Left shoulder, right shoulder, head, absolute perfection, break of the neckline, and downside continuation. So really good stuff on the IWM in terms of technical formation there. 250 demand is definitely the spot to watch. IBIT, big drop on the bear flag on Bitcoin yesterday. We've been sort of tracking this bear flag look right here, and we finally got that drop of that level. I would be looking to see what happens when Bitcoin trades back up into 50. This is IBIT, obviously, but if IBIT trades back up into 50, 50, 65, I would be interested to see what happens here. Is this a retest rejection, or is this a reclaim? All right. So I would be very intrigued by this zone right around that 50 level on IBIT. All right. So we're about to get data here, guys. Let's go ahead and take a quick peek at the data event. This should be very interesting. Let's see what happens at these lows on the S&P 500. If you guys could, please press that like button, subscribe to the channel. And in about 10 seconds, we are going to see the data event. 3, 2, 1. Oh. Okay. Sort of failing. Sort of failing. I mean, up for now. I need to see that hold. Okay, holding now is better. You don't want to see those big wicks, Those big wicks is what's sort of, Yeah, okay, holding better for now. Maintaining. Okay, so 68 demand holds strong. Right now, positive reaction. That's very much right now. You need to make sure you remember that word today. Word of the day is as of now, right? That's like the biggest word of the day. The biggest word of the month for all of December trading is it looks good for now, right? Like everything is very temporary. Everything's very sensitive. So be very careful. Good push for now. Retail sales, 0.4 versus 0.2. Okay, so a good retail sales reading. Non-farm payrolls higher than the forecast. Average hourly earnings slightly lower than forecast. Hamish, appreciate that, brother. Thanks for the information. Yeah, so for now, higher. And a good reclaim of PDL on Qs. That's pretty good stuff. We need to get above. We need to get above this. Yeah, I mean, if we can get above this 613 today, I think we're going to have a good day. That really is where I think today becomes a good day. If we can get above 613, I think today clears up a lot. But right now, you are still failing Friday low day. Look at this. Look at this. You got to get above this Friday low day here. You're sitting right at it. You're sitting right at it. Okay. Can it hold above? You did reclaim. I mean, this really is, guys, a reason not to short the market. I know it's hard to, it's painful to watch, hear me talk about bullish action all the time. But I want to remind you that pullbacks are normal in a bullish trend, and I still am not switching to the bearish side on this market. This is still a very good pullback on the S&P 500 to major daily highs. It is not until this high breaks for me that I would switch bearish. I will not switch bearish on this market until this high right here. Let it be known, until this high breaks. It does not make sense. If this is holding, you need to stay bullish. This is a very big spot, right? This is such a meaningful high because of how big and drastic this drop was, right? This drop was that tariff news drop. This is when Trump came out and said, I'm going to impose more tariffs. And the high of that time frame was 68.68, right? And we can see we have been consolidating above that exact level for almost an entire month, right? So it's not until that level flips as a nasty, like one of these, right? You need to see one of these. That's what you look for to be bearish on this market, right there. If you see that candle underneath this high, that is when it is all over, right? That is when the bears come out of hibernation, right there. This candle right here. Bam. That would crush it. Until that happens, this is a pullback long into the daily 20, daily 50. That's, in my opinion, the only way to look for it. So today, we'll see if this sticks, which I am very, I'm very cautious to say that it's going to stick because you've seen crazier things, but you absolutely can see that that major demand zone is still holding strong. This is also the daily 20, daily 50. This is the previous lows, and it is still right to be looking for this to be an opportunistic long opportunity. Opportunistic long, right? So we'll see. Hey, we got to take every day minute by minute, but that really is the bigger picture read that I would stay true on until that turns into a rejection. If you get that failure candle here, failing under these daily 20, daily 50s, that's when this thing really starts to break down. Let's see if we get that. And, to be a good trader here, you need to be able to flip on that, right? So I need to be able to believe that. And if I see that rejection, I'm going to have to be able to flip to the short side there for sure, right? So that's my read. We'll see if this data move holds up. I have seen data moves give back the entire move at market open. And so I would not be surprised to see that today. That's for sure. I would be actually more shocked if we held up, personally. So, yeah, definitely still walk into today with a lot of caution. Look at where the QQQ is rejecting, guys. QQQ rejecting Friday low a day as we speak. Right here. Bam. Friday low a day. Rejecting. So, this is far, far, far from, a mindless upside day. Very far from it. Very clear rejection there on the QQQ. NASDAQ futures failing right at the Friday low as well. Look at this. Bam. Friday low a day. Smackdown. Smackdown. You might give it back all right now, actually. Yeah. You very well could. So, Smackdown Friday low a day. There you go. There's our level. Now you know what you're watching today. Now you know exactly what you're watching today. Friday low a day. Okay? All right. Let's move on. IBIT, pretty much flat on that news. SMH, a little bit of a pop there. Let's go on to some individual. Actually, let's just take a second and let's say a prayer for the beautiful and the well-deserving XLV ETF. I mean, what an insane chart. What an absolute thing of pure beauty over here on the XLV. You can't beat it. It's unbelievable. It's the perfect break and retest on the weekly chart. It is the perfect previous highs into the perfect low. Wish I was more I wish last week when we pointed this out, I just said, I'm long the XLV and wake me up, next week. Because that's the only trade I'm taking. Because that really is the best. That really was the best technical setup on the market. Hands down. Weekly high, break, retest, long. Absolutely incredible. I did take some of this with some Eli Lilly shares. So I am happy about that. Right here. Let's see if I can... I don't know if I'm able to find it. But yes, Eli Lilly shares, that was my move. A little bit not as aggressive. I would have liked to be more aggressive, but I did buy some Eli Lilly shares, which I am happy about. Yeah, that was back on Thursday of last week. So Thursday of last week, buying those Eli Lilly shares, 973, 935 area. This was a beautiful weekly chart break and retest along as well. So that was really good. That was the best trade I've taken recently. The cleanest trade I've taken recently was that long. We'll talk about Eli Lilly in just a second. Yesterday, perfect analysis. If we guys paid attention yesterday, we were talking about 1033 break and retest long, and that thing just went absolutely vertical off the gates, off the open. So that really sucks. ES has given back the entire move. So totally pointless move. Probably this has increased the odds for me today that I will not trade. This has already increased the odds for me. I mean, just an absolutely pointless move here. Okay, so yeah, not interested at all. Let's move on. I would be not surprised to see that result in nothing. And there it is. So that's just the market lately, man. It's like you can almost predict the lack of actual movement. And it's true. There's been no movement. It's been a completely sideways ES channel. And every attempt to have movement is just shot straight back down into the center point. And so there we go again, another textbook example of nothing being real. And you just can't trust any move. Okay. Tesla, really nice move yesterday out of the gates. Pretty much straight up over the 467 into the 480s. We had a nice little long yesterday for me on Tesla off 474. It wasn't bad. I made about $1,000. I'll take it, right? A little long off this 474 towards that close. Not a bad move, but ultimately, you know, deeper pullback was necessary after the straight up move. I don't mind the pullback that it came back down into. 467 is actually a good spot. You guys can see right here, 467, 467, major 4-hour highs. Look at where it's holding, 467. Not a bad hold, really, not a bad hold. 467 on Tesla, that's a level I would be watching today. Pullbacks deeper would be fantastic at 458, 460. Both spots would be fantastic. So 468, 458, 460. This 467 is not bad, but you have to get over 474. 474 is the level, okay? That is the big kahuna. 474, that is this high right there. You got to get over 474 today. Over that, you go back to the 480s. But 474 is the level. NVIDIA, no interest. AMD, no interest. Broadcom, some interest to look to see what happens at the daily 100 today. That's something I'll be watching. ASML, probably my most interesting semiconductor today. I think this is a fantastic pullback on ASML. Obviously, we need to see the market not shit itself and semis actually find a piece of life. But this is a very interesting 4-hour pullback on ASML. I would be watching this. Daily chart, you can see we are retesting daily highs, retesting daily highs, retesting daily 20. I'd be interested to see what happens between the 1060, 1065 area on ASML. 4-hour high, 4-hour high, 4-hour high, 4-hour high, 4-hour high. That is a 5 4-hour highs right there that you have broken, retested, and the daily 20 is sitting right below it. That is an interesting spot for ASML. Hopefully, the market does something real because that's a very nice trade setup. However, it will be hard to trust with the recent action. There's no doubt about it. Okay. Let's go to MU. MU is another interesting one, holding a very good demand here, MU, around the 231, 228. I just need to see MU get back above Friday low a day, which it is not doing. Right there, you can see another trade that is rejecting Friday low a day. So Friday low a day, across the board, looks like it's going to be the most important level of the day. Apple failed the 276, 277 level yesterday, failed the daily 20. If we do not reclaim that level over the next probably day or two, I am probably going to take my L on this trade. I thought this was a great look, fantastic looking hold above that daily 20. Definitely provided the little pullback long opportunity. Now, in the past, we have seen some dips below the 20 that quickly get bought back up. So I'm not going to panic on this idea, right? If I look at the trend, what has happened in the past, right? Dip under the daily 20, bid back up. Dip under the daily 20, bid back up. Dip under the daily 20, bid back up. What happened here again? Maybe we see another dip under the daily 20 and a bid back up, right? So these are all just liquidity events, all right? Grabbing liquidity, grabbing liquidity, grabbing liquidity, creating the, right? Every time you dipped under the daily 20 and grabbed that liquidity, look what the result of that move has been. Straight up, straight up, straight up. So I'm not that opposed to seeing this fail under the daily 20. I don't hate that. I would just look to see if we can find that reclaim. And if we can, I think that could be your move. But hey, again, that's just going off past technical analysis. Of course, markets have been just not as trustworthy as I've seen them. So just, obviously be aware of that, risk properly, risk appropriately. And at the end of the day, I am not a financial advisor. So Amazon, very nice downside trade yesterday. This was one of our top watches to the downside yesterday. It was the bear flag break and retest of the daily 20 SMA. Absolutely perfect trade setup. And look at that thing out of the gates, man. Absolute dive bomb. So you have a dive bomb day. You have a bear flag into the daily 20, into the previous lows at 228. And look at the dive bomb again. So that is just perfect stuff on Amazon. You even had a break and retest of previous day lows, which I got faked out of, but I had the right idea. That traded beautifully as well. And so today, what are you looking for? Very, very easy, right? Right here. You're looking for this. Can you get another fail at the 225? That's what I would be watching. Can you get a fail at the 225 on Amazon? Okay. Google filled the majority of the gap here. You guys can see right here, majority of the gap has been filled on Google back down to 304, between that 304, 309. That happened yesterday. So I would be intrigued by what happens here on Google after filling that gap at 304. That's something you could be watching today. Meta continues to hold very good. The long-term trade still looks very well intact. You have a nice 640 demand that continues to hold, so no concerns there. Circle bouncing back a little bit this morning. I'm watching this 75 spot. I think you need to get back over the 80s. That's definitely important there. Eli Lilly, I would love to get a pullback today. If Eli Lilly can give me something back towards this daily 20, I would adore a pullback long here. I don't know if I'm going to get that. But man, would I adore a little pullback long on Eli Lilly back towards that daily 20, back towards that 1030 spot. That would be fantastic. UNH needs to get over 343. I want to show you guys the Dow Jones because the Dow Jones is quite possibly the most bullish market out there right now. The Dow Jones is on one of the cleanest retest long setups you could see on the market right now. I mean, look at this on the Dow Jones. You have major highs, major breakout, very controlled pullback move, and eventually my book says you're going to find a long off this low right here. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. That's a nice Dow Jones. That's also, if you look at the daily chart, right, look at this daily major highs, breakout, pullback. And so as long as you're above that 48.5 on Dow Jones, I think you're looking for Dow names to continue to outperform. Right there looks really clean to me, right? Right there, little pullback. This looks just fine to me. So stocks like Goldman Sachs, stocks like Home Depot, right? Stocks like technically Costco, but Costco's been sort of shit lately, but we'll keep an eye on it. Retail sales maybe gives us some insight into, some Costco comeback, but Home Depot's been strong, right? Holding that 356. 362, 363 highs, still on alert, right? If that Dow is strong, UNH, healthcare, Eli Lilly, right? So all these Dow names, J&J is possibly the most lights out chart on the stock market. Yeah, it really is. J&J has been quite possibly the most lights out uptrending chart on the stock market. An incredible move. Look how clean this is. So, yeah, J&J, another very good candidate because, it seems like to me it is very much time, and it's been time. I've noticed this. We've noticed this for about a week now, but it continues to be time in my eyes to look away from tech, right? We've seen that XLK underperformance. We've seen that very clearly. XLK has been underperforming. We've talked about this XLV outperformance for about a week and a half, 2 weeks now. Typically it's a little bit of a short-term, type of rotation, but it's continuing, right? We have very clearly seen these healthcare moves just absolutely rip. XLF, another one, financials, right? So it's a very much sector rotation away from tech. That will not last forever. That will create an opportunity on tech at some point. But for now, it looks like healthcare is the big winner in my book. XLRE, pretty much nothing. Consumer staples. Oh, this is utilities. Consumer staples is what is consumer staples? XLP. XLP is not bad either. Let's take a look at a weekly chart here on XLP. Yeah, XLP, not a bad chart either. Zoom out a little bit. Yeah, XLP's been fine. Nice slow uptrend. Looking just okay. What's in the XLP? What's the top leaders in that? Walmart, Costco, Procter & Gamble. Yeah. Yeah, man, this Costco trade is definitely going to be something I can... Yeah, because Dollar Tree and Dollar General have been very strong. Dollar Tree, Dollar General have been very strong. But Costco really is a trade I'm trying to find that entry point on, but it's still just too weak. It's just too weak. It just has not found its life yet. I'm waiting. I'm stalking it. This is something I'm stalking. All right, guys. Hopefully a better day today. Yesterday, another just sort of small losing day. I mean, again, it's not like I'm blowing up accounts. I'm losing, $1,000. I'm making $1,000. I'm losing $1,000. I'm just not getting... My P&L curve is basically this right now. It's just nothing. Break even over the last 2 months. Just haven't gotten any, trending consistency in the P&L curve, which... As we can see, my P&L curve is basically the S&P stock market. My P&L curve looks very similar to this. So just got to keep, staying a little bit more patient, I'd say, inside this type of price action. Got to understand that it's not my bread and butter. I like continuation to either direction, up or down. Sideways, just not really that great for me. So it is what it is. Let's see what we can do today. Let's be patient. Going to be, my goal of the day, my challenge to myself is to not trade. That's my challenge today. I'm going to do my best to only get into the A++, understand that we're still in a channel and try to stay away from it. And I think I will be better long-term from taking this moment in time to mentally reset, right? To mentally relax and to fuel up the mental. I think that really is something that I need to do and focus on more. Is sometimes in the market, there's times where you need to refuel your mental. Because right now, I'm not missing out on anything. All right? I'm not missing out on anything. I'm not missing out on major moves on the market. So why not take this time to mentally reset and come back with aggression and with confidence and clarity, right? So that's going to be my game plan moving forward. It's the holiday period. We have short weeks approaching, and I think that's really the game plan moving forward here. Just sort of coast through these holiday weeks, mentally reset, and come back 2026 with some serious fire under my ass, all right? All right, guys, hope you have a fantastic trading day, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace and love.